Hello and welcome. In this video I would like to talk about what a texture library is, what a visual library is, and what the differences are. Now in this course specifically we're going to be dealing with painting textures using Photoshop. So we can have painted textures. We can also have photo textures. But what do these mean to our library? Typically a texture library is not a finished texture, so to speak. It's meant to be a base, which will allow you to take that base and then make whatever adjustments or additions to it you want to create the texture you're after. So you may not have, say if you're working with games, a perfect crate texture, but you may have a good wood texture and a good metal texture, pardon the writing, and a good detail texture like nails or screws. And then you can use those to create the texture you need for whatever project you're working on. That's what we'll be concentrating on in this course, is creating these base textures for a library, and in this case we'll be dealing with painted ones rather than photo. Now you may also hear about visual library. What is a visual library? A visual library can have several things in common with your texture library, but it serves a different purpose, and it will often have a lot of different things in it that you may not ever use for an actual texture. Visual libraries are meant to be reference. So in a texture library, I'm going to go ahead and hide this layer. In a texture library, you might break it down according to components such as wood, metal, grass, water, tile, concrete, whatever. For your base textures, you would probably keep a file system, something like that. A visual library, because I spell good, it's typically going to be broken down, possibly some of the same, but it may also be by location. Like pictures from your trip to London. Also, your visual library reference doesn't have to be perfect photos. If you're taking them on your phone, maybe you got some blurry ones. It doesn't really matter. The visual library is there for creativity. So how you end up doing that is up to yours, but you should keep a camera with you and just take pictures of everything if you're going to be serious about creating textures, whether it be for games or websites or photos or paintings or whatever you feel like getting into. You want to begin to build a very large visual library. You also want to begin to build a very large texture library that you can pull from to create whatever it is that you need to create. So we'll look at doing most of these things, as well as, say, stone, rust, things like that we can take and then later combine to create the texture we're after for specific projects. And then at the end, we'll do a specific project. to make a screen, not a screensaver, but a background. So I just want everybody to have a clear understanding of what the differences between those two are, and also that you should be actively working at building both of them constantly. Now, besides painting, which we'll cover here, you should be also taking tons of pictures of actual real-life textures, such as rust, stone, metal. You can pictures of airplanes up close that you can use for sci-fi textures or things like that. Specifically pictures of wear and grunge, as these are heavily used. But on that note, we will move along and we'll start actually creating some of our goodies.